Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Good morning. Today's the big day. I am finally moving to my new house. So my husband is on the road and on his way to come pick me up. I wanted to do my podcast this morning because I'm feeling overly excited and I need to fill the time until he gets here, which is going to be about in an hour and a half or so. And my puppies are still sleeping. Actually, the big one is still sleeping. I don't want to say her name because she'll wake up. And the chubby one is staring at me in all his chubs. So, I have a topic today, as always, and it's a couple things. So I heard something in one of my morning meetings yesterday called Rule 62. And I wasn't quite sure what that was. I mean, I've heard it before, but I didn't know the origin of it. So I wanted to share what Rule 62 is, which is don't take yourself too seriously, where it came from. And I also wanted to talk about the staying sober as a superpower because that's really what it feels like today as it's coming to an end where I have stayed in this Airbnb mostly by myself. I've had lots of visitors, but you know, sleeping here by myself, I'm spending a lot of time by myself and spending a lot of time thinking about relapse, folks that are relapsing, not me relapsing, but how easy it is and how when I am able to do something like this, it does feel like a superpower. And I heard somebody say that yesterday. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And also the story we read yesterday talked about sobriety as a mathematical miracle as well. So a lot of different topics. So I'll probably just run my mouth as you love that I do, and we'll see where it goes. But so Rule 62, um, I I found something that says that Rule 62 came from a story of a specific group in AA that became kind of overly serious and like bogged down with creating too many rules. And this is part of the traditions of AA that talks about how we need to avoid like over organization and too many rules. Like I've experienced that when I get involved in a group that starts to try to make too many rules, for me, it gets irritating to say it bluntly and simply. It gets irritating. Like nobody's in charge in AA. We do have like volunteers who lead a meeting and so on, but we really have to stay away from creating too many rules. Like the only requirement is the desire to stop drinking, and that's all somebody needs to show up with is a desire. So this specific group was creating too many rules. So someone wrote down on a scrap piece of paper Rule 62 and said in order to like cultivate like a lighthearted perspective on it. And it was about emphasizing that hold on, I lost it because my eyeballs aren't working. Um da, 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 da. Don't take things too seriously. I don't know why I can't see it. But anyway, so if I were to expand on Rule 62, don't take yourself too seriously. That's what it was. Um, I would think like number one, notice that you're human, like remember that you're human. Mistakes are what makes us human. And it's funny because if I make a mistake, there's like two options that I see. I can either beat myself up or make fun of myself. But there's actually a third option if I make a mistake, and that is to just accept it. You know, how simple is that? But it's like I always have this desire to make a big deal out of a mistake. And I don't need to. Like, if I don't make mistakes, then there's something wrong with me. I'm not human. So, so just accepting that I'm going to make mistakes, finding a healthy balance between taking my sobriety seriously, but also being able to look back as I share some of my experiences with a little bit of levity, you know, injecting a little bit of humor. I think that's why you see a lot of people in AA laughing because after we start putting some time between us and our last drink, it is almost just amazing to look back and see that used to be me. Like I used to really think that, like take myself so seriously that everything was life and death. When really during that time of me drinking was really the thing that was that was life and death for me. Um, by laughing, by being able and willing and open to find the humor in that shift, that crazy shift in mindset, it actually brings humility in, you know, and that's like a healthy, non-ego driven perspective. And with that, I can find enjoyment in sobriety, in my mistakes, in looking at some of the stuff that's really tough to look at. I can actually find some, if nothing else, happiness that that's not me anymore, you know? So I think that what they call they, meaning people out there in sobriety, call Rule 62 is really a cool way of reminding us really simply like in just saying Rule 62 it adds the levity, you know, then if somebody were to inject, look, don't take yourself too seriously, Rachel, then I might react defensively because that's not going to get me out of that um, taking myself too seriously perspective. So I think Rule 62 is kind of funny. And I wanted to share with you what it was because I didn't know what it was and I can't be the only one. So, so there's that. And then, oh my gosh, so this week I have practiced a lot of gratitude and it started out, sorry, a week and a half. It started out with that empty bucket. You recall, if you've been following over the past week and a half, the empty bucket no, the bucket wasn't empty. The full bucket of empty beer bottles and the big gigantic tequila bottle that was sitting next to it. Um, it's still out there. It's still sitting on the Oasis patio outside. And I have gotten to the point where I forgot it was there. Actually, yesterday, my my son and my daughter and their partners came to visit me. So that was really, really super, super exciting. That's why I didn't record yesterday because I wanted to just focus on how wonderful it was to have them here. And that was kind of a surprise. It wasn't part of the plan for my stay here, and I was just elated to have them. So they showed up a little after noon and stayed throughout the afternoon, and we ordered some Japanese food, and we just sat around and laughed and talked, and then they left. And it was really beautiful. And it was a gift. Like after they drove away, all I could do was look up and say thank you. It was a gift. I said thank you for the gift. I have a tendency to, when there's something that it's so clear to me it was a gift, I stop what I'm doing and I look up and I say, thank you. And so that's what I said. Thank you for the gift. And it was a gift because it was a reward for me that I went through that whole week. I mean, think about it. I went through this whole week and a half um, going through this mental shift with the empty beer bottles and everything. That took me about 24 hours to see that annoyance as a reminder that I don't have to drink to be alone, you know? And I was able to get through that shift. And had I not made that decision at the beginning of the week, not that I felt at risk of drinking, I was at risk of having a more difficult emotional time here if I had any battles other than homesickness, if that makes sense. So I made that decision over the course of the first 24 hours that I'm going to see this as this bucket as a reminder that I don't need that. You know, I thought about the people that were here before me that just sat and clearly got hammered. I mean, I can't believe that tequila bottle was empty. Hammered, and they probably, definitely felt miserable. Like there's no way that they saw with crystal clarity the beauty that I did sitting out on that back oasis patio. And so having that shift to a reminder that I don't have to be like that is what I feel like fighting the homesickness and then having home just show up right in front of me, and I got to sit with my kids. I was overjoyed yesterday, and I still am. It's trickled over to today to be able to sit there with them and feel so loved, like knowing that they came there just for me. And that is a miracle. When I think back, 9.5 years ago, I guess we're a little over 9 years of sobriety. And when I think back to 10 years ago, the odds of me being able to get through a week like this with joy. I mean, I say that so questionably because it I found joy by myself. Like I made so much jewelry. Just wait till you check out my Etsy store. I made a bunch of jewelry. When I get to my new house, I will put my Etsy store back up live, but I'll be adding a bunch of jewelry that I made. And I didn't even do all the other like different crafts that I had brought with me. I did start crocheting a new blanket for my lake house, and it's of a coastal color. So I'm excited about that. But I really did weave, if you will, a bunch of joy into my week and a half. I got to spend some time with my mom. And at the end of this, also found out that she's going to be okay. I had mentioned that she had an illness, and everything is going to be okay. We got the best news possible that we could have gotten. So super happy. And just a little bit of treatment left for her, and we can get back to the usual stuff, usual living. So I am a mathematical miracle, and every time I do something like this where I'm able to strengthen my sobriety, it really, like, going through hard stuff in sobriety. I need to acknowledge it and acknowledge also that I have the tools and the faith to handle these things that used to baffle me. That's one of the promises, and it has certainly come true for me this week. So, the real growth in my life only happens when I go through this kind of stuff. Um, this, in comparison to a lot of other stuff that I've gone through, like with my stroke and that sort of thing, staying a week and a half in an Airbnb seems minuscule, it seems so small, but there's still a lot of growth that happens when I acknowledge that, okay, I'm uncomfortable. So this is what I need to do. I need to get grounded. I need to lean into my program. I need to make sure I go to my meetings. I need to make sure that I use the tools that I have as life happens. And in the end, I'm handling things way differently than I would have years ago. There's this sense of self-pity that is easy to come in for me. And if I just notice it, name it, and lean into my program, I can change that perspective. And then speaking of self-pity, as over the past couple days, I've started to feel self-pity. I guess it's self-pity in regards to moving to the new neighborhood. Okay. So just hear me out. I have been feeling a little bit, just a little tinge of, when I meet new friends, what do I have to offer? New friends. I am disabled and am not going to be able to go out on a boat, most likely. And I'm sober. So if people have us over for drinks, I'm not going to be drinking. And this was real, like a couple days ago, yesterday, in fact, I was really feeling that way in the morning. And again, had to I had to bring it back to, and hopefully I can articulate this correctly. Instead of me thinking about what can I offer somebody else, I needed to shift the lens back on me and my sobriety. So what I was doing in thinking, what do I have to offer somebody else, is like, what can I give, right? And if I were to be asked to come over for drinks, me consuming the alcohol is not giving that other person anything. It's my personality that they want to be around. So it's not the fact that you know, if I want to have a true friend, then they're not going to be friends with me because I consume as much alcohol as them. And I only know that from experience, that the friends that I have developed in sobriety are the friends that understand the ups and downs of living, and we get to figure it out together without numbing ourselves, and it's not that it's not fun. We laugh at ourselves and stuff like that, but it's to be able to remove that crutch, remove that blanket that I'm like putting around me, that comfort, that fake comfort that I'm putting over me, the drinking, the alcohol, removing that and being able to truly feel and get through it and adult, like be an adult and figure out how to adult with somebody else. That's what true friendship is being able to talk about stuff. Um, and let's see. So when I think about making these new friends, I need to, as I said, like, sorry, I'm wordless, turn the lens back on me and do a little self-examination, um, not self-condemnation. You know, what do I have to offer? I am a beautiful example, and I feel proud enough to say that I'm a beautiful example of how one can live an incredibly joyous life without a drink. And I never know who I might help. And when I heard that yesterday, I think it was when, yeah, it was in one of my meetings. Oh, no, I only had one meeting yesterday because it was a Sunday. Um, in my meeting, I heard somebody who was sharing with me um, about a similar situation, similar experience they had, because that's how we learn together. We learn from each other's spirit, experience, strength, and hope. They were sharing with me an experience that they had, and she reminded me we never know who we're going to help by just living the program. And that reminder what just hit me. It hit me that I've been spending the past 2.5 years now, no, almost 2.5 years, out of my career, out of like in medical retirement. I've been living a fairly secluded life in isolation mostly because I can't handle visual movement. And this move is going to get me out of the house. I'm going to be able to start walking to certain things within the neighborhood. I'm going to be able to be in clubs. I'm going to be able to go to a church. I'm going to start going to church first, not second time in my life, but first as an adult. Um, regularly attending church, making friends and being, instead of this podcast where I'm really a voice, I'm going to be able to be a living example. I'm going to actually be able to show somebody, how do you go to dinner and not have a glass of wine? How do you go if I'm able to go out on a boat? I'm not thinking I'm going to be able to anytime soon, if I will, but how do you enjoy lake life without a drink? And that really boosted me. It really boosted me because you guys know how much I value sharing my recovery, how much I value helping other people. And that doesn't mean I'm going to walk around being like, you know, I pushing my sobriety on people. I've actually been starting to think about like, what is going to be my canned response? Am I going to say I don't drink, or am I going to say I can't drink? You know, I feel like the proper um, response is I don't drink, not I can't drink. I can't drink makes it sound like I want to, but I can't. And you know, I'm going to figure all that out. Like, I'm going to be back in society. It's a big deal. And I think that there's going to be a lot more topics for the podcast. Like, um, how did I handle these certain situations? It's going to be all new for me. It's going to come back again, and it's going to be real. My sobriety is going to be something that I'm going to be living again out in the world. Yeah, I'm going to be in my little gated community bubble, but I'm looking forward to being able to be a living example again. So that has made me hopeful that I'm going to be helping others, that I'm not just doing it for myself, and that I might be able to help another person. So, using the tools of my program, like I'm going to be going to meetings. There's a couple in-person meetings that I'm hoping that I can get to. My husband knows he's on the hook for driving me to my in-person meetings, but they're only going to be like 2 minutes up the road. And I need to make sure that I keep that build that connection with my higher power, that automatic prayer response. I want to strengthen that. I want to strengthen being of service to other people, and I want to strengthen my humility as well. So I was reminded, lean further into my program, lean further into my own world. So I've been thinking about, how am I going to lean into this other world of all these other people living this lake life? Well, you know, what I need to do is bring my world with me. It's not like I'm going to lean into their world and feel different. What I need to do is bring my spiritual practice of alignment with me. It's all about perspective. It really is. It's all about perspective. I'm not going to be any further away from my recovery life in the lake life. I'm bringing it all with me. So all my toolbox is going to be right there in my arm. So it's really I'm encouraging myself. I'm getting myself pumped up for that. So all of these tools that I've been talking about in the podcast, acceptance, I think tolerance is going to be something that I'm going to need to be aware of, self-aware. Open-mindedness, like understanding that just because somebody else drinks doesn't mean that I can't be friends with them. You know, it might feel like my world is a bit wobbly in the beginning. I don't know. I'm what ifing, but it might feel a little wobbly. And I know that I can plant my feet firmly. I don't have to. I don't have to feel like I've been cast out into the water, and I'm out there needing to reach for my own life preserver without anybody's help. I all of my meetings, the people are gonna see them every morning. So I'm not alone, and my higher power is with me. I'm never alone. I can be an example without even knowing it. You never know who you might inspire, but I can trust that my example is working quietly in other people's lives, even if nobody says a word to me. I know that, right? I know that through experience, that I have I'm able to impact other people quietly. This podcast is a perfect example. There's a lot of you that listen every day, and I don't know you. And a lot of you don't reach out to me. But once in a while, I get a message from somebody who I don't know, and it just says thank you. and it just tells me that I haven't that I inspire. And thank you for sharing your experience, strength, and hope. I had somebody reach out to me and said, "Thank you for sharing your faith journey," and that was huge to me because I have been very cautious and uncomfortable sharing about my faith journey because I don't want to upset anybody who knows more than me about faith or having a relationship with God. And I also don't want to not share about it because it's a huge part of my life and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And so when people reach out to me, it does remind me of that, but I trust. I have I have found a way to trust that my example is quietly working in other people's lives. And I get freaking elated to see when I have another subscriber and another listener because it just lets me know that I'm not alone, you know? Yeah, it's all about me. No, it's not. It helps me know that the passion that I put into my own recovery and the passion that I have for recovering out loud is making an impact on other people's lives. So as I move today, I have 1 hour till he's going to be here. As I move today, I know you can feel the excitement. I am going to, on my 2 hour car ride, which I'm going to start out with a Dramamine. In about a half an hour, I'm going to take my Dramamine so that I can do the ride without feeling nauseous, and but I will close my eyes. I'm going to, with my eyes closed, focus on willingness, humility, tolerance, joy, you know, gratitude. All of these things that I talk about every day, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to be so centered in my program when we pull up to the house so that I feel like I'm walking into that new house with my program in the center of my program, with my program wrapped around me like a warm blanket. I can't wait. I can't wait. And I almost have a lump in my throat. I can't wait. It's so funny how much I feel like you guys go on this journey with me. And yet I'm really just sitting here in a room by myself talking. But some of you I know really well, and I can almost picture your smile. Because I know how much you care about me, and I love you, and I love all of you guys, and I'm so appreciative of you being on this journey with me. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow unless I am sick from my ride today. We'll see, but we should be good. So next time you hear from me, I will be at my new permanent vacation home. I'll talk to you later. Bye.